I started the references.
This is true.
Here we go. Coming up next on NSEN, the Blue Raider football team won big over Old Dominion on Senior Day. Our analyst Xavier Dupree will break down the game.
Your Blue Raiders are headed to a well-deserved bowl after their exciting win against Old Dominion. We'll see how they stack up against the competition.
And the men's basketball team earned a signature win over Florida Gulf Coast last week. We'll update you on where they stand this season.
All those stories and more, NSEN starts right now. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Darius Horton.
And I'm Calvin Smith. Welcome to NSEN. The Blue Raiders earned a big 85-72 win over Florida Gulf Coast last week. FGCU is a perennial powerhouse on the mid-major scene. This victory will bode well for MTSU come tournament time. Nick King continued his terrific start to the season by dropping 25 points while shooting almost 60% from the field and going 10 for 10 from the charity stripe. King is now averaging 23 points per game this season, which is leading the team. Tyreek Dixon and Giddy Potts both chipped in double-digit scoring totals with 12 points each. The Blue Raiders tallied 85 points despite shooting just 31% from beyond the three-point arc. Kermit Davis's squad is currently 4-1, with their only loss coming at the hands of the Belmont Bruins. They aren't in action again until December 2nd when the team travels to Fort Myers to face Florida Gulf Coast again. MT is beginning possibly their toughest stretch of the season before conference play starts. The Blue Raiders have an opportunity to gain a couple signature wins against high-level competition. They'll square off with Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Auburn in their tour around the SEC. After last year's statement win over Vanderbilt, 71-48, expect this matchup to feature some fireworks. Conference play doesn't begin until late December, but these games are more than a warm-up for the Blue Raiders.
Yeah, you're right, Calvin. And after the firing of Butch Jones, many Tennessee Vol fans rejoiced. Then on Sunday, after news leaked of a possible hiring of Ohio State defensive coordinator Greg Schiano, Volunteer fans expressed their disdain for the potential hiring. Fans tweeted and emailed athletic director John Curry, then picketed Neyland Stadium in an attempt to keep Schiano out of Knoxville. Schiano also has a quite track record as a coach with the Rutgers University and a stop in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Vol fans didn't see enough accomplishments from the veteran coordinator. Coupled with his alleged involvement since started the Penn State rape trial, the hiring was called off after the backlash. Still ahead on NSEN, your MTSU Blue Raiders are now bowl eligible, and our student college reporter Xavier Dupree has the latest and greatest on your Blue Raiders football team and the Conference USA Championship between North Texas and Florida Atlantic. So stay tuned for X's with X.
Make sure to stick around to see how your favorite high school team fared in the state semifinals Friday with our high school sports report. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.
Chef Patty here. Why should you include avocados as part of your family's balanced diet? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Number 1.
Avocados fill you up.
Avocados contain unsaturated fats, good fats your body needs to help with the absorption of key nutrients.
Me hungry right now.
Number 2.
Avocados are good for you.
Avocados are naturally cholesterol and sodium free, plus they contain nearly 20 vitamins and nutrients.
Me need vitamins and nutrients, and number 3, avocado delicious.
Try avocados in place of ingredients higher in saturated fat. Avocados taste great in sandwiches, salads, and even in baked goods like cookies.
Avocado cookies? This match made in heaven.
This is your new kitten or your new puppy. Every day, 70,000 puppies and kittens just like them are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of pet owners say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Well, it turns out those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number. 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddle or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more, fix at month 4.
Include avocados as part of your family's balance. Number 1.
What's going on, sports fans? This past weekend, MTSU hosted Old Dominion in a game I like to call the Murfreesboro Bowl Eligibility Bowl. The winner of this game will become bowl eligible and have an inside track into playing later on in December. This game started out and finished great for MTSU on senior night as MTSU went on to win 41-10. This was also senior night for MTSU as the Blue Raiders celebrated 13 seniors going down their last home game. The Blue Raiders went on to win 41-10 behind another great game for Brent Stockstill, throwing for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Running back Terrell West got his first career start, having 26 carries, rushing for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. And also, that Blue Raider defense did not disappoint as they held the Old Dominion offense to 120 passing yards between 2 quarterbacks and only 185 rushing yards. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to one of those big plays that helped MTSU get the W. All right, on this play right here, we're going to have a standard power to the right. But first things first, we're going to give the defense a little eye candy by bringing this slot receiver in motion all the way across the formation to get the defense to shift. As the defense shifts, the ball is snapped, and the backside guard and tackle are both going to pull and kick out. As they're doing that, the front side, tackle, guard, and center are all going to down block and work up to the second level, leaving a gaping hole for Terrell West to run through. It's plays like these that help the Blue Raiders rush for 320 yards against the Old Dominion defense. And moving on from MTSU, this weekend, December 2nd, the Conference USA Championship will be played between the North Texas Mean Green and the Florida Atlantic Owls. Like I said, this Saturday, December 2nd at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The game will be down in Boca Raton. It'll be shown on ESPN2. And for your live updates, check out our Twitter, NSEN__MTDN. And now let's talk about the North Texas Mean Green. North Texas comes into this game 9-3 on the season and 7-1 in conference play. They're second in the conference in scoring offense, scoring 38 points a game, and second in total offense, averaging 470 yards a game. They are led by their outstanding quarterback, Marcus Fine, who was thrown for 3,419 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. The Mean Green are poised for a conference championship. Let's go and look into some keys to the game. My first key to the game for North Texas, stop the run. Earlier this season, North Texas played FAU, and FAU ran for 447 yards. If North Texas plans to go back home with that championship trophy, they cannot allow FAU to run all over them. My second key to the game, protect the football. Also in that first matchup, North Texas turned the ball over 3 times. On the road in a conference championship game, you cannot turn the ball over. So North Texas has to protect the ball if they plan to win this conference championship. And my third key, big plays in the kicking game. North Texas has returned 2 punts this year for touchdowns. Big plays in the kicking game will not only silence that home crowd that FAU will have, but it'll also bring some juice and momentum to that sideline for North Texas. And now let's look into some key injuries for North Texas. There's only one injury. Wide receiver Jalen Guyton is questionable with concussion he suffered last weekend. And now let's take a look at FAU. FAU comes into this game 9-3 and 7-1 in conference play. FAU has the top-ranked total offense and scoring offense in Conference USA, averaging 40 points a game and 480 yards a game. The offense is led by outstanding tailback Devin Singletary, who's rushed for 1,630 yards and 26 touchdowns. And now, let's go ahead and look into some keys to the game for FAU. My first key to the game for Florida Atlantic is pound the rock. Earlier this year, FAU ran for 447 yards against North Texas. Godly numbers. Lane Kiffin, every time y'all have the ball, you turn around and you give it to Devin Singletary until North Texas shows you that they can stop the run. Until then, pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock. My second key to the game is get to quarterback Marcus Fine. Like I said, Marcus Fine has thrown for over 3,000 yards this year and 28 touchdowns. It's pivotal that FAU gets to Marcus Fine, make him uncomfortable, knock him down a couple times, make sure you get off the field on third down so don't allow him to carve up that our secondary. And my third key, don't get complacent. Earlier this year, FAU beat North Texas 69-31 in a blowout. FAU, please don't think that North Texas is going to come down to Boca Raton and just hand you the conference championship. No, they're coming down there to win their first conference championship. So they're going to give you everything you got. Be ready. And now, from keys to the game to key injuries for FAU. Tight end Harrison Bridges is questionable with an ankle injury that he tweeted last week. And that's it for the key injuries for FAU. And that's all I have for your breakdown of the Conference USA Championship game between North Texas and FAU. Be sure to tune in this Saturday, December 2nd at 12 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And also, check us out on Twitter for live updates at NSEN__MTDN. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Xavier.
Coming up next on NSEN, the MT men's basketball team picked up another commitment to add to a loaded recruiting class.
Your streaking Nashville Predators took on the Carolina Hurricanes on Sunday. Stay tuned to see how it all went down. All that and more, so don't change that channel.
Everyone deserves to have a decent place to live.
Everyone.
Todos. When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home, they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
Para po sa pamilya ko.
Por mi familia.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own. Through shelter, we empower. Visit habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Time is the one thing that we want more of as a St. Jude parent. Without the donors, I wouldn't have my Audrey.
El que St. Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow, they pretty much have saved us.
They take care of our housing. They take care of our food. In addition to the best medical treatment that my daughter could ever have. So it allows me to focus on my daughter and getting her better.
Central Coma
Your seat cushion can be used to grant wishes.
Who said that? Hello?
Really can, you know.
You talking to me?
Sure am. Because the airline miles you earn and donate to Make-A-Wish can help send thousands of kids on their wish trips. So donate to Make-A-Wish today.
You really should, you know. You really should.
And give wishes wings. Because wishes work wonders.
Welcome back to NSEN. Darius, MTSU added another potential star to their recruiting class, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, right from their own backyard. The Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders team is loaded with its first 2019 commit. MTSU picked up point guard Keyshawn Davidson. Davidson attends Oakland High School right here in Murfreesboro. Right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The 6'2 commit is the number 6 point guard in the state of the 2019 class. Last year, he averaged 14 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, and 3 steals, while only turning the ball over just 1 time in a game.
And the 33rd Class A 6A Mr. Football winner has been announced. Riverdale running back Savion Davis was awarded the Class 6A Mr. Football in Tennessee. Davis, a senior, rushed for over 1,700 yards and 29 touchdowns. He beat out Maryville quarterback Dylan Hopkins and Germantown wide receiver Jalen Williams for the award. This is the first time in a decade a Riverdale Warrior has took home a Mr. Football award. And now we're going to transition from our high school report to the pro report. Darius, what do you have for us in the world of hockey?
Yeah, well, actually, it's going to transition from the ice
Excuse
to
me,
the
sorry.
court. No, you're good. You're good. And now, the Grizzlies are actually starting right now. And, what started as a close game would end in a heartbreak as the Memphis Grizzlies now dropped their 8th straight game, 98-88 Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets. As the start of the third quarter, the score was tied at 47. Brooklyn opened up the second half on a 20-4 run over the past 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the third quarter to take a 67-51 lead. Brooklyn outscored Memphis 32-18 in the third quarter and shot 54% from the field, including 5 of 8 from 3, while Memphis shot just 25% in the other 3 quarters. The Grizzlies outscored the Nets 70-66. Tyreek Evans and Marc Gasol both finished with 18 points, with Gasol scoring 16 in the first half, and Chandler Parsons also added 12 points. DeMar Carroll led the way for the Nets as having a season high of 24 points. Trevor Booker added 16 points off the bench and led all players with 11 rebounds. Following the Sunday loss, head coach David Fizdale of the Memphis Grizzlies was relieved of duties just after 2 seasons. Last season, the team finished 43-39 to reach the playoffs, but after a 7-12 season, the franchise had other plans in mind. The Grizzlies will face off against the San Antonio Spurs Wednesday night as they look to get back in the win column.
And now we'll actually move over to hockey this time. The Predators are in action tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. That game is 2-1 right now in the second period. But the Carolina Hurricanes ended the Nashville Predators' 4-game winning streak on Sunday at PNC Arena. The Hurricanes took a 1-0 lead with 3:37 to go in the first period when Joris received a pass from Marcus Kruger and scored on a backhand between UC Saros' legs. Victor Arvidsson tied it at 1 at 15:36 with a nice individual move that ended with him beating Scott Darling to the far right post with a wrist shot. Ekholm gave the Predators a 2-1 lead with a power play goal at 10:32 in the second period when his wrist shot deflected off Carolina defenseman Brett Pesce's stick. Rask tied it at 2 with 11:37 to play when he tapped in the rebound off his left hand. The Hurricanes would go ahead 3-2 with 5:49 left in the third period on a power play led by Williams. The Predators would tie the game at 3 with 11:15 to go in the third period after a loose puck score by Craig Smith. He continued his fire start to the year.
Yes,
the Hurricanes would go on to win 4-3 in overtime, however, led by Joris, Rask, Williams, and the goaltender Scott Darling. The Predators will now host the Chicago Blackhawks, like we mentioned, which is still 2-1 in the second period.
Yeah, that's right. And even though we lost, we still got a point. So that's also pretty good.
Exactly. And for the Predators, that's the key right now, going forward, just to make sure they establish a spot in the playoffs, and knocking back the Blackhawks right now would be a great thing for them. But coming up next on NSEN, we have everyone's favorite time of the night, Twitter questions. You ask, we answer. Tweet at us at NSEN__MTDN and we'll answer. Stay tuned.
I never imagined this would be your first home.
I feel powerless. I can't stop asking why us.
I just want to hug and kiss you and never let go.
This is the hardest thing we've ever faced. I know it's even harder on you.
You are my little fighter. We're here with you.
I believe in you. Just 4 simple words. But to a child in need, they mean the world. When you support a child through Save the Children, you're saying, I believe in you. Visit sponsor.savethechildren.org/believe today.
We cure 80% of children with cancer. If you think about that, I mean, go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. There's one thing we're focused on here at St. Jude, and that's beating this thing.
To pose, now sure. She makes the sound scene, makes me deep in the North Sea.
Your marine life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. Give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It started with the original care package and millions more like it, passed from hand to hand across land and sea to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need, ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Welcome back to NSEN. It's that time of night, Xavier.
Yes,
it's time for Twitter questions. I'm here with our resident football expert, Xavier Dupree, also known as X. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good, Calvin. We're going to go ahead and take it up to our first question for Twitter.
Our first question comes in from Rusty Ellis. Is this the best non-conference basketball schedule MTSU has had in the last few years?
Yes, this is the best non-conference schedule that MTSU basketball has had in the last few years. When you think about it, you play Florida Gulf Coast not once but twice, one on the road and one up here in Murfreesboro. You also play Vandy again. You play Ole Miss and you play Auburn. Also, you throw in Belmont and Murray State.
Two really good smaller schools.
Oh yeah. So if you can pick up a Vandy win, an Ole Miss win, those ones will really help MTSU for bidding, getting into March Madness.
I think what's going to be really key about that Ole Miss game you mentioned is that is right here at the Murphy Center. We got to get a lot of people out here. I know that's over winter break, but that's a big game against an SEC foe.
Yeah, we got to pack out the Murphy Center definitely for that one. Got to come support our Blue Raiders for that one.
And our next question is coming in from David Janes. Who's your top 4 in the college football playoffs? Xavier, you're our football guy. Give us your hot take.
David, I thank you for this question. Like the college football playoff rankings came out earlier tonight. I personally believe that I thought prematurely. I thought that it would be Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, and Bama. The committee kind of surprised me by putting Wisconsin in, but you had to put Wisconsin in because Wisconsin is the last undefeated team. So for me personally, the top 4 would be the same as the committee showed: Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin. What about you, Calvin?
I actually think Bama deserves to be in. I would vehemently argue Wisconsin cannot play on the same field as Alabama. Would you agree with me there?
I would agree. But like you said, they're the last undefeated team. You have to put in Wisconsin. Now, we'll see what happens. Wisconsin has to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
Yep.
So if Wisconsin can win that game, then they're in.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Wisconsin will beat Ohio State? If you were a betting man.
If JT Barrett is playing, no, I think Ohio State beats Wisconsin.
Wow.
If JT Barrett isn't playing, I wouldn't go Wisconsin to win that game and be in the playoff.
That's a hot take, taking away JT Barrett from Ohio State there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we're going to go on to our next question.
Question coming in from at @SkyHigh_Sanders. If MTSU defeats FGCU again, could they run the table in the conference?
Yes, I do think they could run the conference. Being Florida Gulf Coast, like I said, that Florida Gulf Coast, especially recently, has been running the mid-majors, Lob City.
That was a fun year when they were running the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so if they can beat them again, that'll definitely help them going into conference play. Their biggest competition in conference play is going to be La Tech by far, who is undefeated right now. Yes.
Do you actually think they could run the table? Is that even a possibility, or is there bound to be a slip-up along the way for the Blue Raiders?
I think there'll probably be a slip-up. The conference from top to bottom is competitive. Like I said, you have at the top, obviously, MTSU, you have La Tech, teams like UAB. So there'll be a slip-up here or there, but MTSU should come out of the conference, and I expect MTSU to win the conference both in regular season and tournament, just like they have the past 2 years. So.
All right, and our next tweet's coming in from Camden Gathright. He asked, what bowl game do you think MTSU football will play in this year, if they can even get a bowl?
Right now, it's probably real early to tell, a little too early to tell. You still have all the conference games to play. Like you said, you have, SEC, ACC, Big Ten, all those championship games have to be played. So there's 78 slots and 80 teams that are bowl eligible. So once those conference championship games are played, everybody, that stuff will work itself out. There are a couple of bowl games out there that MTSU is looking for. Right now, you have the Cure Bowl out in Orlando. You have the DXL Frisco Bowl out in Frisco, Texas, and the Independence Bowl out in Shreveport, Louisiana, just to name a few.
Yep.
But like I said, once all the championship games are played this weekend, you have a better look and better understanding of what's going on in the ball game.
And Xavier, you're a football player. Where do you think you would like to go take a little vacation to for a bowl game?
Well, after going to Hawaii last year, I'm a little bit spoiled. I'm not gonna lie, but I would actually not mind going to Orlando. I would not mind going to Orlando to the Cure Bowl. I would not mind going to Orlando. That'd be a good destination, I think, for the team.
All right, and we have one more tweet coming in. This one's gonna come in from Vic Ross. Did you agree with the Fizdale firing? The Grizzlies did just fire their head coach, David Fizdale. Xavier.
Here we go. Okay, so no, I do not agree that David Fizdale should have got fired. When you take into account you losing Zach Randolph, Vince Carter, earlier this, in the offseason, both of them going to the Kings. Mike Conley has been out for 6 games. Marc Gasol has been a shell of himself. Chandler Parsons is still trying to find his way. You told me too many variables. I think it's too early. The Grizzlies, they reacted to. I don't even know. There's no way David Fizdale should not have got fired. It's too many variables going on. If you want to try to win the championship in this league, especially with a young coach like Fizdale, who's a good coach, known around the league, everybody loves him outside of maybe Marc Gasol, but that's another story for another day. you have to give a guy time. You got to give a guy time to be able to grow, give him a couple drafts, let him be able to develop his team and change the culture, which is why he was brought in. He was brought in to change the culture of Memphis. You fire him. What is it, like 3 seasons he's been with Memphis?
2. I believe it's only been 2.
2 seasons he's been with Memphis. That makes it even worse. 2 seasons he's been with Memphis. I saw a stat earlier today that last year they made the playoffs and they had 25 different starting lineups.
And where did the Grizzlies go from here? Because there's a lot. The NBA season's a long season.
Yeah.
What can the Grizzlies do? Do they mail it in and just try to get a good draft pick and maybe draft Marvin Bagley, who's having a great year? Or should they still be a team who's trying to contend? Because I believe they still have a playoff caliber roster.
Yeah, I think they do too. I think you still go ahead and push for playoffs. I don't think it's time to go ahead and reel it back and try to go and tank the season and try to get a top draft pick. I still think you go and you push for the playoffs and try to make a deep run. And like you said, the roster that they have is good enough to make a playoff run, or at least get to the playoffs. But Memphis, man, I don't know what Memphis is doing. They, Fizdale's a good coach, and whoever picks him up is, it's going to be the steal.
And I believe our final tweet is going to be a birthday shout out.
Birthday shout out? What we got?
From our great sound man. Xavier, tell us about that birthday shout. Here it is.
Here we go. We got from @_DH9_ @NSEN_MTDN. Happy birthday to the man behind the audio, Tony. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Tony. Our audio guy, great guy. He's here every day with us, every week working with us, making sure we all look and sound good.
Without him, our show wouldn't run. I wouldn't have this mic on me.
No, sorry, and I wouldn't either. So happy birthday, Tony.
And thank you for joining us here on NSEN. Tune in next week for another great show. I'm Calvin Smith.
And I'm Xavier Dupree.
Sleep tight, Murfreesboro.